Hey y'all, this is TCA Gaming, and in this video I am going to do a consignment video. Well, I'm going to show you guys some stuff that I have taken in on consignment that has been removed long now from my website for several months, but people still send stuff into me to sell, mainly because I'm one of the few people that still accept sealed product. And then I'm going to also show you guys some stuff that I bought. I'm going to talk about TCGPlayer here first, just because I don't have much experience with TCGPlayer, and I'm hoping maybe some of you guys would have a little bit of an insight for me. So I recently picked up some Rayquaza Amazing Rares. These are all from eBay, so eBay works good for me. I can figure it out. I really don't like the fact that they hide the tracking number in your purchase history, so it makes it really tough to go find after it's been delivered, because if you go back to the order details, everything's combined, and I don't get why you would do something like that. But anyways, I picked some up off of eBay. I didn't go for any 10s. I like the card. I've always liked the card, but I don't want to pay $100 for a 10. But I did go to buy some raw cards off of TCGPlayer, and I bought quite a few of them. I think I bought like maybe 100 or so in total, because there was one guy who had them. He had like 58 of them. There was quite a few. And I was like, all right, well, let's just take them. And I think I just hit most of the sellers that were like higher quantity. TCGPlayer is really good for that, because it's tough to find the cards sometimes, because like you can look up Rayquaza in 138 and there might not be any results because a lot of times they don't stick the numbers with the name. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Sometimes it's about the set, and it can be tough to find the cards. So a lot of times you just got to put in Rayquaza and then scroll through everything that they have until you find the one that you want. But anyways, I did find the card, and I went through and I bought a bunch of the near mint ones. And after the order was placed, it was paid for, I got an email saying that it was now processing, everything was confirmed. A few days later, I got an email saying, hey, your order has been refunded. I'm like, okay, well, usually there's like a reason why something gets refunded, at least on eBay, but there was no reason. And not only that, the entire order, every single card was canceled. It's like, okay. And I paid some with store credit, but they didn't refund my store credit, they just kept it. And I reached out to a representative. They said they'd get back to me, and they just haven't. So I don't know if they're busy or how long it typically takes. I'm not very familiar with TCGPlayer. I use them every now and then to buy things, because I might look something up like, oh, that's a pretty good price, I like that card, and then I'll buy it. But with this one, I was really surprised that every single seller that I bought from was canceled, and it was all canceled at once. And there was no explanation why. The store credit wasn't refunded, and the cards went back up for sale. And ironically, after they went back up for sale, they were cheaper this time. So I guess after it was canceled or whatever, I tried to buy, like I said, quite a few. I mean, 100 cards, that might even look like a buyout to them. So maybe they thought, hey, this looks like market manipulation. We're going to cancel his order and not give him a reason. But I don't know why you would do that. I'm buying them for myself. I was hoping to grade some and get some 10s out of it, because I like to buy high volume rather than like 1 or 2 cards here or there. But it just didn't work. So I don't have those, and I just went back to eBay and I'm buying on there. So if you see like this little dip, instead of making the price go up, because it probably would have made the price go up buying that many quantity, because I think I bought up to $15 or $18 for just near mint condition. There were some that I didn't buy because they didn't look near mint. Right after you see this little dip that comes down, I'm guessing because every seller got canceled on, they're like, okay, well, let's just relist it for the lowest market, and they readjusted the price, and then everybody's kind of undercutting each other. So it's like it almost had the opposite effect of me buying these cards. It made the price come down. And I can't say for sure that's what happened. But if anybody has experience with TCGPlayer and they've ever had this kind of thing happen where your entire order is canceled by TCGPlayer, because there's no way every seller just canceled all at once. Like, there's no way that can't happen, right? And then you don't get your store credit back. To me, that's kind of weird. But I ended up buying some off of eBay, and I think I got what I need at this point. So I'm not going to go back to TCGPlayer for those, but I wanted to, because it's very convenient, very nice to see the quantity, all the sellers, near mint, and I probably wouldn't have got all near mint cards, but because typically you can't see like the individual condition of each card when you have quantity. I have experience with that. I sell quantity as well. But it was very frustrating to spend my time going through picking out which ones I wanted, and then get told 2 or 3 days later, hey, it's all canceled. We're not telling you why, and we're not going to explain why you're not getting your store credit back either. I imagine that should come back once the guy ever responds, but I don't know yet. Anyways, moving on to the consignment section. These had actually come in on consignment, but he decided to sell these at 70%. So I picked up the Gym Heroes Japanese pack and the Gym Challenge. These, I don't know if I would sell them anyways, just because unless I did it in a stream or I opened them for myself, because a lot of times the hollows are on the very front, and because these have been out for over 25 years, they could be damaged. You know, well, I think it's on the front. I can't even remember for sure if it's on the front with the Japanese. I know with the Japanese base set it is, and so there's a lot more potential for the main hit of the pack to be damaged from a single loose pack like this. But it was still cool to see, and to pick it up at 70%, I didn't mind. Also, these come in. I believe he thought these were base set because he was talking about variant 1, variant 2, and I'm like, no, these are just, this is Water Blast, this is Power Reserve, it's a standard jungle and a standard, well, it's 2 standard jungle theme decks, but they are in very nice condition, and so these are up for auction. I'm expecting the Power Reserve probably bring a little over $100. Water Blast probably get closer to 200, so maybe 300 between them. But we'll just see where it goes. Sometimes people pay up in auctions for the better condition stuff. All right, these also come in. Got a Reshiram and Charizard GX in a 10. Got the old tag team right there. Got a Zekrom with a gray background. If you're not aware, there is a Zekrom that has a black background. Got the Reshiram right here. Also from the same set, you have the Master Ball Pikachu Reverse Holo. Then we have a few tag cards. We've got Dark Blastoise as well as a Dark Dragonite from the Team Rocket Returns. Very hip kind of sets, I guess you could say. You've got the tag teams, and then you've got the black and white, and then you have the Rocket series right there to match up with Destined Rivals. Also sent in was this. I'm going to actually pull this out and show you. We have a Shadowless Charizard. This thing is ungraded. I've got it listed as lightly played, but it's in really nice shape. Let me I'm zooming the wrong way here. See if I can get the light to flash on a little bit. There we go. Too much flashing. You can see there's some really light scratches right here. I mean, they're very light. Kind of make them out there, but there are no dents on the card. There's some light whitening around the edges, but nothing heavy. If this were to go to grade, it would not surprise me if it pulled a 7. 8 would be a stretch. 6 wouldn't be a surprise, but I believe this is probably in a nice 7 condition. But I still described it as a lightly played, and you guys can make out the condition for yourself in the scans. So if you're looking for a raw Shadowless Charizard, there's one right there. All right, next up we have some booster boxes. Check this out. We've got a Steam Siege, and I apologize for the tour pans and different things. I've been working outside in the ditches a little bit. Got a Steam Siege booster box. These are in pretty nice shape. There is one box that has an issue on it, but overall, I'm surprised we've gotten to a point where these are so expensive. Like this Fates Glide box, I sold one at $2,000, and then I had one more left. I ended up listing it on eBay, and I think I've got it for like $2,300 or $2,400. And I've had several people offer right at price, but nobody quite ready to pull the trigger. But they're in good shape. The ones that we have here, you can see there's a little dent right there. I'm curious to see what it's going to bring in auction. Sometimes, you know what? It wouldn't surprise me if when this one goes through auction, the one in my buy now sells if this one ends up going for a little bit more or right at market price. Sometimes that happens. All right, next up we have Ancient Origins, and this one does have a heat seal hole right here on the bottom. So like this is a natural thing that does happen with booster boxes and packs and things different. Well, booster boxes and cases and certain things like that. However, you know, I think it does affect the value some, so I made sure to make a note of it in the listing. Ancient Origins, very popular set. I really like that set because of the gold secret rares it pulls from Primal Clash and Roaring Skies. However, I like the OG a little bit better. So with Primal Clash, this is actually one of my favorite sets of all time. This is when pull rates changed. Up until this point in the XY era, when you go all the way from base through Phantom Forces, you had the first 4 sets that you would roughly get 4 hits in a box. It was like 1 in 9. And so, I mean, it was pretty tough to pull. But once you got to Primal Clash, it was like 1 in 6. You started getting 5 and 6 hits per box. Not only that, I really like the Mega Primal Groudon and the Mega Primal Kyogre. I thought those cards were great. I love the Hoenn collection. That's where you got the jumbos of these. I bought so many of those things. I had the codes, the promos, the pins, you know, everything that you would get from those collection boxes. I had just massive amounts of. And this box, for me, it was one of the game changers. I really loved opening up the product, selling the cards, And then the Groudon itself, even when it went into the World Championship decks, I bought so many of those just because that card in the World Championship version was worth like $10. It was worth more than the entire deck, and I could buy as many of those decks as I wanted. So back then, that was a play that I had, and I don't remember ever really grading those, but because the value wasn't in grading at that time, it was more so in the singles and just really running hard with that kind of stuff. But I relived those days on this channel quite a bit. I realize we're not in it now. You're probably looking at a box that's, you know, completely out of reach. This had several printings. It had one major last reprint too at the end of the era. There was Primal Clash, Ancient Origins, XY Base. I can't remember what else, but I know those 3 sets. Those were printed very, very heavily at the very end. It was like the last of the XY reprints that we saw. All right. Anyways, I talked that set up enough. Now, with Ancient Origins, they have a gold version of that with the Kyogre and the Groudon. All right, Dragons Exalted. Man, we're moving back in time now, so we have some black and white booster boxes. This one does have, is it this one? Maybe it's the other one. This one's actually in pretty good shape. But black and white, it is a rough set to open. Most of the time it is, well, it's almost always better to keep your boxes sealed because, like, even if you pull some of the best hits from, say, Primal Clash or Ancient Origins, it's not very likely that you're going to hit them in a high grade. A lot of those cards, they had like texture issues where I guess when the sheets laid on top of each other, the texture from underneath would actually imprint onto the back of the card, but it would, when it pulled away, it actually pulled some of the ink and it would look like white lines. So it was like a white texture that just looked like damage, unfortunately. All right, and last but not least, we have a Next Destinies booster box. I really enjoyed this set. It has some of the worst pull rates of all time. This one does have, you know, the corners, but it also has one of the most used cards of all time in World Championship decks and was so playable at the time. You had that Mewtwo EX. Oh, man, people ran that card. This was the first modern card that I can remember. Maybe there were others that, you know, I'm just not aware of because I wasn't fully in the meta at the time. First card that I remember going over $100 raw. So you had this Mewtwo EX that was just so super playable. And you know, it's a Mewtwo. It's a full art. It's hard to pull, but that's not why it reached that price point. It was $120 because it was a full art Mewtwo that was so playable. Everybody wanted that card in their deck. I mean, it was so fast and it would move right through things. And again, I wasn't actually in the meta at this time. And for me to even know that that's the reason why, that should tell you how big the card was, because I wasn't playing. You know, I might have had a deck or two here and there where I was playing in college or right after college, but, you know, I wasn't aware, you know, of how you did it in the regional tournaments or world championships or anything like that. The only thing that I paid attention to was the world championship decks, and that was still probably another 2 years after this before I started really buying into that heavy. But anyways, guys, a lot of cool boxes coming through. If you are interested in consignment, please feel free to reach out to me, but it is by approval only, so I don't automatically approve everything. I need to check it out. There's some Japanese products that I do not accept anymore, like some of the Mario Pikachu things. Like, I'm going to open them up. There's no way I'm going to take those sealed. They're just too expensive, too easily to replicate. You can buy all the contents without the shrink wrap and then just seal it up with a, you know, if you have access to a heat seal shrink wrapper, whatever you want to call them, but that would just be too easy to do. So there are certain products I do not accept, but I do still accept a lot of sealed product that I have more experience with. So if you're interested, please feel free to reach out. My email is number1pokemoncollector@gmail.com, and it's down there in the description. Thank you guys for watching the video and supporting the channel, and as always, don't forget to give a like and a sub.